Hey, what is up guys? So we're going to be doing a pure Dino deck profile today. This one is obviously very different from the actual True King build that we did last time, but for this one, focuses more on the Lost World combos instead and the Survival World, which will be our spicy tech in this particular version of it. But starting off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Ultimate Conductor. Sadly, I wanted to actually add 3, but we're already playing a 42 card deck, so it was pretty difficult to actually organize space. I had to drop it down to 2, but 2 is definitely more than enough for you to actually end the game. Of course, Double Evolution Peel is such a big deal in this deck, so Overtext Coatless, definitely a very important card to actually start you off, and he still just works as such a great engine, and the fact that he's just a dinosaur as well, obviously it's not going to hold you back if you actually play it in your deck. Playing 3 copies of Oviraptor, obviously the Stratos of the deck, every Dino deck will have to play it now, and that also includes decks like Dino Wrestlers, which although I don't really want to see it in, it's something I have to deal with. Miscellaneousaurus, another hand trap for dinosaurs to protect you, otherwise its secondary effect is special summon stuff from the grave as well, by banishing itself, is also very amazing. We're also playing the Giant Rex, of course, just the 1 copy, we don't really need any more of it. I think it definitely does a very suitable job. I'm playing the 2 copies of Baby Ceratosaurus and 1 copy of Petite Pteranodon. I think this is a better ratio than I thought than last time. We don't have True Kings anymore, so we can't really facilitate the destruction of Baby Ceratosaurus or Petite Pteranodon. And although we have Lost World, we still can't really do too much here. So as a result, I've dropped Baby Ceratosaurus to 2, and Petite Pteranodon I'm keeping it at 1. I think it's a really good ratio. Playing the Tyranno Infinity, but I'm also trying out a new tech here, and this is Re-X, otherwise abbreviated Rex. This is a really nice card. It's really interesting. If this card battles a monster in the extra monster zone, it actually gains 800 attack and defense during the damage step only. So what this means is it pretty much becomes a 2700 beat stick on any of your opponent's monsters. So if your opponent happens to do like a big combo where they bring out a really strong monster in the extra monster zone and then they somehow just negate your summons, then at least you still have him as a basic normal summon that you can just attack over your opponent's monsters. So it's definitely quite nice. We're also playing Dog Around because it is searchable from the Oviraptor, and sometimes our opponents just have too many big monsters to deal with. Of course, we are playing Double Evolution Peel, so we do need non-dinosaurs. As a result, we don't play the True Kings anymore, so we're going to be playing the 2 Ash Blossom as well as the 2 Ghost Ogres. Did I say 2 Ash Blossom? I meant 3 and 2 Ghost Ogre. I think Ghost Ogre is still a really decent card that we could play in here, but if you want to play Effect Veiler, or if you want to play Drone Lockbird, or if you want to play DD Crow, I think they're definitely also very viable options you could actually incorporate, but the Ash is definitely something I would play 3 of here, just as targets for Double Evolution Peel. Alright, so moving on to spells, we're playing 3 copies of Lost World. Obviously, they're replacing the Dragonic Diagrams from the previous deck profile, but for this one, it's definitely a very nice effect. The fact that you can actually lock out your opponents from being able to target anything except for tokens. So, very nice card because a lot of monster effects actually focus on targeting these days. And also, it reduces non-dinosaurs by 500 attack and defense, which is definitely very great for your dinosaurs to actually beat over. Of course, we need searching out, so 2 terraforming will definitely do the job here. To search out our monsters, we do need to play 3 copies of Fossil Dig to go into our Oviraptors, which will ultimately search for more dinosaur monsters. Just basically another way of deck thinning. We're playing 3 copies of Called by the Grave. We don't want our combos to be stopped, despite the fact that we don't have too many combos, but again, we don't like our opponent actually using Ash against us, or Ghost Ogre, or any other hand trap, As a result, Called by the Grave is still a very viable option. Of course, we're playing 2 copies of Double Evolution Peel, still a really great way to bring out Ultimate Conductor at a much faster method. And for the new card of the deck, we are playing 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. This is meant to send our Survival's End to the graveyard to actually be able to activate its effect. We don't really mind if we draw into the Survivor's End, but at the same time, we could also just ditch it to the graveyard to actually accelerate the graveyard effect, which is something that we would ideally rather use. To just help us out, we're playing a few generic cards such as Monster Reborn. We're also playing something like Raigeki as well. But as for the trap cards, we're only playing 3 copies of the Survival's End, which, like I said before, we could either draw into it or we could actually send it to the graveyard with Foolish Burial Goods. But it's a card that not many people are actually familiar with, so I'm actually going to go over it. You can destroy as many normal monsters on the field as possible if you do special summon a level 4 lower dinosaur monster from your deck up to the number destroyed, but destroy them during the end phase. So obviously, the field effect isn't too amazing, it's mostly the grave effect that we want. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 dinosaur monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls and destroy them. That's the effect that we really want here, and the fact that we actually have Foolish Burial Goods to help accelerate this is definitely quite nice. Keep in mind, you're also playing cards like Baby Cerosaurus and Petite Pteranodon, and we're even playing cards like Miscellaneousaurus, which are worthy targets to actually destroy with the Survival's End. So definitely really works well as a quick popping engine for the opponent, and overall I just find it very good because the opponents are playing so many spells and traps these particular formats. Alright, so onto the extra deck. We're playing 1 copy of Lagia, 1 copy of Dolkar, and 1 copy of Abyss Dweller. We're also playing Tornado Dragon, Castel, and number 41 Baguska. And to end things off with the rank 4s, we're playing Time Thief Redoer. The rank 4 package is just definitely a really nice package to go with here. It's a really nice toolbox. Obviously, Dolkar and Lagia are specific to dinosaur decks, but the remaining 5 are really the ones that are pretty much played in this particular format the most. So they definitely are very important cards to actually include. For the links, however, we're also playing another interesting toolbox. So we're playing Deco Talker, playing Underclock Taker, playing the Reproducus, Nightmare Griffin, Topologic Bomber, Sayuja Skuldred, and of course to end things off, we're playing the 2 Nightmares, Phoenix and Cerberus, which are definitely great utility pieces. But that's pretty much it for this particular deck. Definitely a much interesting build. Not as many combos as the True King version, of course, but in this one you definitely do gain a lot more control. Because you have less combos, you don't have to worry too much about your big plays being negated, because you could still put up pretty good setups as well. Now, you guys might be wondering, this is a dinosaur deck, so why am I not playing any copies of Dino Wrestler Pancrotrops? That's because this card isn't really a necessarily main card you could actually add to the deck. It's kind of like a Cyber Dragon, except if your opponent has more monsters, you could still special summon it out, and it can pop a card. But overall, I think it's still better as a side deck card, and I'd rather just put it in later on, because the pure dinosaur deck can already do so much on its own. So I figured there's no reason to add in this additional card. I keep it in the side deck, however, and yeah, from time to time I will side it in, but for the most part I won't actually bother putting it into the actual deck itself. So yeah, I hope you guys actually enjoyed this particular deck profile, and hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.